Please, could we have it back?
And they
please,
asked for that.
Because they have no,
They
were
did
talking.
ask for it.
No, and
they said,
I gave
can you
them
give the documents back?
And we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
Which
back.
they've never done before.
Right.
And in
but
all
why not
fairness,
just hand them over then?
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet. And I was very busy, as you've sort of seen.
Yeah, but
I've
according to
been
the
very, very
indictment,
busy.
you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things, golf shirts, clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things. I would say much more, not that I know of, but everything was declassified. And Biden didn't have the right to do that because he wasn't president. Nor did Mike Pence, by the way, have the right to do that because he wasn't president.
Right, I'm not going to.
That was Donald Trump confessing on Fox in an interview that just occurred with Brett Baier that he stole classified information and shared it with people in violation of the law. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Donald Trump just gave an interview to Brett Baier of Fox. And Brett Baier gave one of the best interviews I've seen of Donald Trump. He held Trump accountable. He called Trump's lies out, fact-checking Trump in real time. I see a scenario where Special Counsel Jack Smith will literally just be playing the clips I'm about to show you, clip by clip, at the time of Donald Trump's criminal trial in the federal courthouse in Florida. This is a gift to Special Counsel Jack Smith, and this is why Special Counsel Jack Smith did not want any restrictions placed on Donald Trump like a gag order. Donald Trump just gave Jack Smith something far more powerful than any deposition or testimony that could have possibly taken place. And this is all evidence that will be introduced at trial. Let me start off by just showing you this clip. This is Donald Trump saying that Bill Barr, former attorney general who covered up everything for him, is a coward. Play this clip.
Stuff. And by the way, when Bill Barr, who's, a coward, Bill Barr was a coward. Bill Barr didn't do what he was supposed to do. I fired him, and he has great hatred, and that's okay, because some people do, and some people love me very much. He didn't resign. I asked him, give me a letter immediately, because he didn't have the courage to go after so many different things, and you and I have discussed it before, but he was a coward. And he obviously doesn't like me too much, and there are a lot of people that don't, and there are a lot of people that feel just the opposite.
But on the specific.
In this next clip, Donald Trump again confesses to his crimes and claims that he had every right to keep the boxes, which he absolutely didn't. But again, another confession. Play the clip.
For years, where it was very seriously classified. I have every right to have those boxes. This is purely a Presidential Records Act. This is not a criminal thing. In fact, the New York Times of all had a story just the other day that the only way NARA could ever get this stuff, this back, would be please, could we have it back?
And they
please,
asked for that.
because they have no.
They did ask for it.
No, and
here is a clip where Donald Trump tries to both sides in and say, but President Biden, and Brett Baier calls Donald Trump out and says, Biden turned over the documents. Unlike you, Biden turned them over when asked about him. Play the clip.
I'm going to belabor this.
No, but
when
you look at
want to
this,
just get to the
other
specific.
presidents, when they leave, they take the papers. They have thousands and thousands. Obama had it. Nixon had it. Carter had
Their
it. The
argument
Bushes
is that
had
these
it.
are super sensitive national security documents.
I'm sure,
All right, so here's,
I'm sure you'll
this
see
is-
real super sensitive that Biden has, because
This is-
Biden has far more than anybody's ever kept.
And he turned them over when asked.
No, he
but
didn't.
that's
He
what
still hasn't
says.
given the 1,850 boxes that's stored at the University of Delaware. In fact, they're fighting them in court,
Right.
and they're fighting them. And
But he
the
opened
boxes,
up for them to look at it.
excuse me, the boxes from Chinatown, he didn't turn them over. He sent them up to his lawyer in Boston to look at before they handed him over.
And there are special counsel that's looking at that, and we'll see what comes out of it. But I do want to just
you can
end with
imagine
this. I
what's
don't want to
gonna
dwell on it. But according to the
Here, Brett Baier questions Donald Trump about the recording where Donald Trump says in July of 2021 to basically strangers, to ghostwriters for Mark Meadows, he shows them classified information, and it's caught on an audio recording. It's in the indictment with other witness testimony corroborating the audio recording of Donald Trump. Yes, actual evidence. And here's Donald Trump's response to that. He goes, there's just a lot going on. Play the clip.
I don't want to dwell on it, but according to the indictment, you were here at Bedminster on July 21st, 2021, after you're no longer president, and you were recorded saying that you had a document detailing a plan of attack on another country that was prepared by the U.S. military for you when you were president, the Iran attack plan. You remember that?
Ready?
You were recorded.
It wasn't a document.
Okay.
I had lots of paper. I had copies of newspaper articles. I had copies of magazines.
I know. This is specifically a quote. You're quoted on the recording saying the document was secret, adding that you could have declassified it while you were president, but, quote, now I can't. You know, this is still secret, highly confidential. And the indictment cites the recording and the testimony from people in the room saying you showed it to people there that day. So you say on this, on tape,
it says just the opposite.
That you can't declassify it, so why have it?
When I said that I couldn't declassify it now, that's because I wasn't president. I never made any bones about that. When I'm not president, I can't declassify.
And that's what you said. You didn't declassify it.
I said no. I said I couldn't.
Could have
but that wasn't a document, Brett. There was no document. That was a massive amount of papers and everything else talking about Iran and other things. And it may have been held up or may not, but that was not a document. I didn't have a document per se. There was nothing to declassify. These were newspaper stories, magazine stories, and articles.
I'm just saying what the indictment says.
Well,
the recording and the people in the room who testified.
These people are very dishonest people. They're thugs. They're thugs. If you look at what they've done to other people, what they've done to, and overturned in the U.S. Supreme Court, these are thugs.
The suggestion was that you wanted this as evidence that the military, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, had preemptively sent you plans for a possible attack on Iran and that you didn't order that to happen. That's the suggestion.
I never ordered it to happen, no.
But that's why you wanted the document.
I don't think I've ever seen a document from Milley. Milley, frankly, was incompetent. The last one I'd want to attack with as my leader would be Milley. That I can tell you.
All right, last thing on this.
Oh, hey, when did you get here? Let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Henson Shaving. Look, everyone knows how annoying cheap razors are. The cuts, the irritation, the frustration. And don't get me started with subscription razor services, the headaches that those can cause. That's why you gotta meet Henson Shaving. Henson Shaving is a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer that has made parts for the ISS. That's the International Space Station and Mars rover, and now they're bringing precision engineering to your shaving experience. Razor blades, they're like diving boards. The longer the board, the more wobble, the more nicks, cuts, and scrapes. A bad shave, it isn't a blade problem. It's an extension problem. By using aerospace-grade CNC machines, Henson makes metal razors that extend just 0.0013 inches, which is less than the thickness of human hair. That means a secure and stable blade with a vibration-free shave. It gets better. The razor has built-in channels to evacuate hair and cream, which makes clogging virtually impossible. Seriously, Henson Shaving wants the best razor, not the best razor business. That means no plastic, no subscriptions, no proprietary blades, and no obsolescence. The Henson razor, it works with standard dual-edge blades to give you that old-school shave with the benefit of new-school tech. Once you own the Henson razor, it's only about $3 to $5 per year to replace the blades. My first shave with the Henson razor was incredibly refreshing. The design is sleek and the durability is top notch. The Henson razor is truly much better than your run-of-the-mill quote-unquote traditional razor brand. And the affordability factor is absolutely game-changing. No more wasting your money on expensive blades. With Henson Shaving, you get a year of blades for just $5. Okay, so here's what you have to do. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/Meidas to pick the razor for you and use code Meidas and you'll get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just make sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to HENSON SHAVING.com/Meidas and use code Meidas. And now, back to the video.
Here, another confession. Donald Trump claims that he wouldn't have kept the documents, but the Department of Justice and FBI raided his house. And you saw before, Brett Baier continuing to question Donald Trump. But why didn't you just return it when they asked for it? They had to subpoena you. But here, Donald Trump again, another confession. And his claim is that he was going to turn it over, but they had to beg him for it. And they did. And he still didn't turn it over. Play this clip.
Fought in the courts.
It's already been fought.
All right.
There's a decision strongly that you can keep. But I wouldn't have kept. But they raided my house. They came in and raided. We were discussing, having very good discussions with NARA, a radical left group, by the way. And all of a sudden, my house got raided.
Do you know if you still have any highly sensitive government documents?
No, I don't have anything, no.
Okay.
But what I'm concerned about, they took everything, right? I don't know what they took. They could be stuffing it. I don't know what they put in there. And we wanted to be there when they were taking. They wouldn't let anybody in the room. They've never treated a president like this.
And that's fair for you to point out. I guess what this points to is this recording where you said you could have declassified it when you were president. You didn't.
No,
so
I
it's
could
still
have
classified.
when I was president, but there's no document there. Those were newspaper articles.
Okay.
They were copies of articles and magazines. There was no document there. And I couldn't have done it after I was out.
This is
Here, Brett Baier mentions that Mike Pence had classified documents. He turned them over. And here Donald Trump lies and go, no, Pence never turned him over. Pence did turn him back right away. Play the clip.
your Vice President Mike Pence says he's, quote, deeply troubled by what's in the indictment. And he says, quote, the indictment contains serious charges and I cannot defend what's alleged.
Mike Pence had documents that were classified.
And he turned them over.
No, he didn't turn them over. He got caught. His lawyers found some documents, and then he turned them over. Why did he have them? He shouldn't be saying that because he had classified documents. And immediately they said, oh, that's okay. And I suppose it's going to be okay with Biden, too, even though he has them in Chinatown, even though he has them in Delaware, and probably 100 times more than I have.
So you're not worried about this case?
Based on the law, zero. Zero. Presidential Records Act, plus the Clinton case, which was won by Clinton as president because he took tapes of leaders in his socks. Zero.
Okay.
Zero. And every good lawyer has said it, and you've seen that. Every good lawyer has said that.
Obviously, there are others
You know what
who push back. And
this was a weaponization of politics. This was a weaponization of the White House. This was a horrible thing. A candidate that's leading, I'm leading Biden by a lot, they go out and they weaponize. This is a horrible thing that was done.
Well, let's talk about the politics.
It's never been done.
Let's talk about the politics.
And here's the clip I played at the outset of this video. Just watch this exchange.
Please, could we have it back?
And they
please,
asked for that.
because they have no. We
They
were
did
talking.
ask for it.
No, and
they said,
I gave
"Can you
them
give the
some,
documents back?"
And we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
which
back.
they've never done before.
Right.
And in
but
all
why not
fairness,
just hand them over then?
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet. And I was very busy, as you've sort of seen.
Yeah, but
I've been
according to
very,
the
very
indictment,
busy.
you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things, golf shirts, clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things. I would say
Iran war
much more, not that I know of, but everything was declassified. And Biden didn't have the right to do that because he wasn't president. Nor did Mike Pence, by the way, have the right to do that because he wasn't president.
All right, I'm not going to.
Here, Donald Trump tries to lie about the 2020 election, and Brett Baier, boom, corrects him right away and says, you lost the election. And watch what Donald Trump does here. Play this clip.
What do you say to that female independent suburban voter who feels that way, to win her back?
First of all, I won in 2020 by a lot, okay? Let's get that straight. I won in 2020.
You know that this,
and if you look at all of the tapes, if you look at everything that you want to look at, you take a look at Truth to Vote, where they have people stuffing the ballot boxes on tapes, or
Mr. President,
let's go to recent. Well, wait a minute. Let's go to recent. FBI Twitter. Let's go to recent. The 51 agents, all corrupt stuff, Brett.
Understand about the Hunter Biden,
no, but
all
that's cheating
fair
on the
things.
election.
But
that's cheating on the election.
You lost the 2020 election.
Brett, you take a look at all of the stuffed ballots. You take a look at all of the things, including things like the 51 intelligence agents.
There were recounts in all of the swing states. There was not significant widespread
We're trying
fraud.
to get recounts, real recounts,
There were
not just numbers of votes
widespread
cast.
corruption. There was not a sense of that. There were lawsuits, more than 50 of them, by your lawyers, some in front of judges that you appointed.
Look at Wisconsin.
That came out with
Wisconsin
no evidence.
Wisconsin has practically admitted it was rigged. Other states are doing the same right now, and it's continuing.
There have been
It was
reviews
a
of
rigged
every
election.
potential case of voter fraud in 6 battleground states, and they found fewer than 475 cases.
You know why? Because they didn't look at the right things.
Okay,
Brett.
are you going
they
to
were
be
counting? They were counting ballots, not the authenticity of the ballot. The ballots were fake ballots. You had this was a very rigged election.
Are you going to go? This is how you're going to tell that independent suburban woman voter to vote for
We're
you?
off to winning an election, and I think we're winning very well. I got a poll just recently. I have it here.
I know, and I watched the numbers.
Again, you still have Donald Trump whining about the 2020 election. Part of his 2024 campaign is whining about 2020. I mean, how pathetic can you be? And this may be my favorite moment of the interview. And here, Brett Baier lists all of the people who used to work for Trump, who all have turned against him, or who Donald Trump calls stupid, or who criticize him. And here's Donald Trump's response. Watch this clip. Play it.
In 2016, you said that. I'm going to surround myself with only the best and most serious people.
Well, I did do that.
This
and we had tremendous, look, we had the best economy we've ever had. The world has ever seen.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you a consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second defense secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock, and your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Kennedy, milquetoast, and multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife. So, why did you hire all of them in the first place?
Because I hired 10 to 1 that were fantastic. We had a great economy. We had phenomenal people in charge of the economy. We had phenomenal people in the military. I'm not a fan of Milley, and I'm not a fan of certain of the television people. But I knocked out ISIS. I defeated ISIS. They said, Mattis, it would take 3 years, and I don't think we can do it. I did it in a period of like 4 weeks.
There's a lot of people who praise you for your policies. I just said that.
That's true. Well, I mean, you just went through a list. But don't forget, for every one you say, I had 10 that love us. And one thing happens, I find, with...
Got to give credit where credit is due. Brett Baier hit it out of the park with that interview. Again, tons and tons of evidence against Donald Trump that Special Counsel Jack Smith can, should, and absolutely will use based on this interview. And if you watch this and you don't believe that is disqualifying conduct, well, you may be a member of the modern Republican Party, aka the MAGA Republican Party. But you can't look at this and say that this is acceptable behavior, that this is in any way normal. It just isn't. And that's why we got to call it out together. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast and have a great day.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.